Good day, everyone. Welcome to Real Conservative News Update. I'm your host, Nathaniel Rajkumar. Today's topic, a fresh face in the landscape of TNT's protests, Alyssa Phillip, 25 years of age, has quickly become the vibrant new symbol of advocacy and justice. Having spent a night behind bars recently for her role in leading a protest, not because she went and robbed anyone, people, not because she even used obscene language in public, simply because she was leading and speaking out during a peaceful protest. Something that the UNC members, UNC supporters, UNC voters would have called dictatorship if Rowley was still in office. So getting back to the report, having spent a night behind bars recently for her role in leading a protest outside the Director of Public Prosecution's office, Port of Spain, to highlight the fatal shooting of Joshua Samaru and the serious wounding of his friend Kaya Seeley on January 20th, 2026, Phillip now stands as a vibrant young leader, one who wasn't afraid to stand up and speak out. What Kamla Persad-Bissessar has done, what Roger Alexander has done, what Alistair Guevara has done, is awaken a new generation. A new generation that isn't like my own in the 40s and upwards. Our generation were basically a very passive people. We will speak online and say we don't like what's going on. We will talk about it amongst our friends and our families, but we wouldn't actually take action. The vast majority of times when you saw the protest, the pushback movement protest, as much as Andy Williams and Lennox Smith love to claim as though they were so huge, they were reasonable size. But for a population and the amount of UNC supporters that watched the ground report, it was not very large at all. It was not large at all. But you see this new generation in their early 30s and their 20s, that is the generation of technology. They know how to contact each other in a way that the older generation still don't know to do. A lot of the times they organize things that they shouldn't. But in a case like this, for a just cause to stand up for their rights, what Kamla Persad-Bissessar is doing could start an actual, legal, a legitimate revolution. Kamla Persad-Bissessar called upon the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago to start a revolution while Emperor Thanos Rowley was in office. So this isn't illegal unless Kamla is admitting that she was trying to incite something. Because a revolution doesn't have to be with violence. You don't have to use violence to start a revolution. It means that you're going to speak out in large numbers throughout the entire country to stand up against evil. And this is what she has probably sparked. This may not stop. This may not end. What she has started now may not end because she decided to play queen over the entire country. She claimed to be a mother, but now she's acting like a queen, like an empress, someone that doesn't care, doesn't have the heart. As a matter of fact, some queens do and some kings do. But then there are very evil kings and queens as well. And she's acting like a very evil queen at this point in time, who doesn't care about anyone and any of people's opinions as long as she doesn't agree with it, just like how Rowley was. And she has taken it a step further. She's acted even more evil than Rowley because now she has designated certain areas as places that no one can protest anymore. And even those in the unions are speaking out against it now. And we are realizing this is more than just a Joshua Samaru case. This is something that is very strategic. The government has taken this as an opportunity to prevent anyone from being able to protest from areas that are significant, areas that will have an impact, areas that the media will be present, and areas where they can speak the politicians can hear them and can feel uncomfortable. That is what they have done. They have restricted those zones, restricted those areas from being used to protest. That is something that Rowley didn't do. Now, Rowley used to send his police and them to stop the protest. But correct me if I'm wrong, I never heard during the past 5 years when Rowley started this whole SOE thing and whole lockdowns, I never once heard that zones were designated where people couldn't go and protest. Correct me if I'm wrong, UNC supporters. Find the report links, the news pages, and comment and send me it and show me where Rowley and the PNM ever designated certain areas as zones where you cannot protest. We knew that we couldn't. The thing about it is, as I said before, Rowley was evil. Rowley restricted people from protesting, but by using the police to go and say, listen, this is we are under an SOE, we are under, a state of emergency, and therefore you cannot protest here. I'm not saying no, but did he ever actually designates areas as places that you cannot protest? That is a whole different level of evil that is taking place now, an autocracy that is taking place. Yesterday, the Caribbean Association for Feminist Research and Action, CAFRA, not CAFRA, CAFRA, issued a press release expressing its solidarity with Phillip and other protesters for their courage, leadership, and public advocacy. And this is not Philip Edward Alexander, this is Alyssa Phillip, because Philip Edward Alexander has betrayed the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. He used to be also targeted by the police under Emperor Thanos Rowley. Now all of a sudden, he ain't standing up for the people again. CAFRA called on state authorities to uphold citizens' constitutional rights, exercise restraints in responding to peaceful demonstrations. And as he started about it, it was peaceful. It was peaceful. And then the government tried to make it look as though people were trying to incite violence, and ensure allegations involving excessive force or extrajudicial killings are subject to transparent and independent investigation. My response, 1 year ago, a little more than a year now, UNC hypocrites, and remember I voted for UNC, UNC hypocrites would have been standing in solidarity with this courageous and intelligent young woman. But politics matter more to these radicals than human rights and justice. None of them ever condemned citizens who protested over the killings of the men in Mova or the youth in Port of Spain. Can Kamla Persad-Bissessar tell us of any time in the past when she condemned individuals who protesting against these extrajudicial killings? What has changed, Kamla? You know what? The only thing has changed? You have become the leader of this country. And now you don't want anybody protesting and shining a bad light on your party and your precious rough men in the TTPS. Back then, they knew that citizens had the right to demand justice when the system appeared to be failing under the PNM. I voted my entire life for the UNC, adult life for the UNC, but never again. The UNC has now become even more evil than the mighty Morphin Ghanaian coalpot bicycle PNM. Something I never thought would have ever taken place. Never. Bear in mind that the PNM supporters who are controlled by tribalism still protested. Listen to this, people. I want you all to listen to this. Bear in mind, the PNM supporters who are controlled by tribalism still protested against extrajudicial killings when their party was in office. So it begs the question, whose members are really more fanatic and more tribal? Because if the PNM people could have still stood up against the system and protested against the system, if the African people here in Trinidad and Tobago could have stood up against the system even when their precious Balize party was in office, why it is our Indo people can't do the same now when our party in office? Because I want people to say. People say UNC is Indo and PNM is Afro, right? I don't really look at it that way, but basically right now it seems as though UNC proven me wrong. It appears to be that UNC is proving me wrong. I guess UNC really is an Indo party because all I've seen is a bunch of Indo people supporting the police and supporting the government at this point in time instead of standing up for the rights of the citizens. So it begs the question, who are more fanatics? Because you're not standing up for the right thing while your party is in power. But the PNMites did. They didn't protest against the lockdowns. They didn't protest against Rowley's mandates, a lot of different mandates that he had, the mask mandates and the other types, the injections and stuff like that. They didn't protest against that. That's why they are fanatics. But the point is, when it comes to human rights and life and extrajudicial killings, they still protested even while their government was in office. Their party was in office. So who are the bigger hypocrites? Who are the bigger fanatics? Clearly, in my opinion, it appears to be that the UNC side, which is dominated by Indus, appear to be far more tribal and far more fanatic.
Trinidad and Tobago weather report for Monday, June 1, 2026. The weather for Monday, June 1, 2026 in Trinidad and Tobago will be fair to partly cloudy, hazy and breezy with a maximum temperature of 31 degrees Celsius and a minimum temperature of 26 degrees Celsius. According to the Trinidad and Tobago Meteorological Service, significant concentrations of Saharan dust will be present in the atmosphere, so individuals sensitive to changes in air quality should take precautions. Brief, isolated morning or midday showers may temporarily interrupt the hazy conditions, particularly around midday when the chance of precipitation peaks near 55%. Winds will blow from the east to east-southeast at speeds of 10 to 40 km per hour with occasional gusty conditions. Seas are expected to remain moderate with wave heights ranging from 1.5 to 2.0 meters in open waters and near 1.0 meter in sheltered areas. Spring tides will be actively in effect and sheltered waters may occasionally become choppy. Bible quote of the day. Ephesians 2:1-4. As for you, you were dead in your transgressions and sins, in which you used to live when you followed the ways of this world and of the kingdom of the air, the Spirit who is now at work in those who are disobedient. All of us also lived among them at one time, gratifying the cravings of our flesh and following its desires and thoughts. Like the rest, we were by nature deserving of wrath. But because of His great love for us, God, who is rich in mercy.
Folks, that brings us to the end of today's news update. Thanks again to everyone who continues to support my content. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Stay blessed and stay safe, most of all, in Jesus' name.